tell you, good day. We came out of it healthy, and that's one of our objectives. The other is to get some of the guys haven't played in game situations, some exposure in game situations, and give our fans a chance to come out here and watch the team and get some autographs and do things like that. So I think it was a successful day, and it was a really good spring for us. Made a lot of progress on the field. We made a lot of progress in terms of team chemistry. So I'm excited. The next 3 months are going to be really important for these guys. They jump right back into it Monday morning at 5:30 a.m. with the rest of their spring conditioning, and then we're going to depend on them to get out on the field on their own and have player run practices and continue to make progress. So overall, very pleased with the spring and pleased with today, and fun to see some of those guys. Austin Burton and Jalen and Darnay, and unfortunately Jimmy didn't play. He had the concussion, but fun to see those guys out on the field doing some things. So, and Matt Lynch getting a chance, and Javon Monster. So thought Eldridge, he dropped that first pass. After that, he had 6 catches. He looked good. So, but it's hard to tell in a day like this, who's good and not. What's working and what's not. We're keeping it so simple offensively and so simple defensively, and we're huddling up all the time, and not indicative of what we're going to be when we open the season. This game's on TV. You obviously don't want to give your opponent, Texas A&M, a chance to study it too much. So it was a good day.
What'd you think of Josh?
I thought he was fine. Thought he was fine. Yeah.
What about as far as the playing time divvied up? Was that all pre-planned?
Well, you can't really plan it because you don't know how the game's going to break down. If one team has a long drive, then that restricts the amount of plays the other side has. But it basically went according to plan with regard to the quarterbacks. That was really the only position where we had guys that could rotate in. We're not. We have 120 players that'll be on our team in the fall, but a lot of those guys aren't here right now. And then anyone that is nicked, we certainly kept them out of this. So we're down in numbers. So most guys played quite a bit.
What do you think about the running backs?
I think they did fine. Yeah, it's hard to come over here after a game like that and really truly evaluate anybody. So I'm not going to. I think what's important is that you evaluate 15 practices. You see where you are as a team and what individuals have made progress and where they need to continue to improve. And so that's what I do. A game like this is, like I said, kept it so vanilla. The teams are split. Guys were lining up next to guys they hadn't lined up next to before. So you can't get a true evaluation. That's not really what this game's about. Like I said, it's about getting some guys on the field in a game situation that haven't played, and giving our fans a chance to watch us. Give them a chance to go out there and interact with our players.
What was the penalty that gave Coach Palmer the second PAT there?
Well, it was the defense jumped offside. So I think she was a little nervous, but she buried that second one. I'll tell you what, Coach Val, she was on me all game, and she was in serious jeopardy a number of times of getting flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. We had to give her several warnings. But it was really neat to have 2 amazing leaders like Amanda and Miss Val out here, have them around our players. They met with them, they talked to them about things other than football. I think they enjoyed it. I think our players really enjoyed it. You saw Miss Val; she got the Gatorade bath, and we've got so many great coaches on this campus. To me, it's important to expose all our student athletes to all of them. So that was a great opportunity to do that today.
You also handed out a scholarship today.
We did, yeah. Well, that was very meaningful. Gio has, worked himself into a position here on our team where he's very valuable. He's very well respected by his teammates and his coaches, and we wanted to reward him, and it was time. And right now he's our starting fullback. He's an integral part of our offense and our special teams and, our locker room chemistry, and you saw how the players reacted to that. And that's not something that we typically do. When we do those things, they're usually private because I don't like the guys that aren't getting recognized and have worked just as hard and, or claim clamoring for that scholarship to feel bad, but this was a special case. There's some things going on in Gio's life that, you know, he needed a little pick-me-up, so we gave it to him.
Last year after this game, you mentioned Tack as being a guy who was the MVP of the spring type of guy. Did you name someone, or is there a guy who had similar?
Today?
Yeah, well, not over the course of the spring, not today.
We didn't name MVPs. We had two most improved. It certainly could have gone to others as well, but we recognized Osa Odigizua and Andre James. In terms of most valuable, my candidates, Eldridge Massington would be a candidate, Colton Miller would be a candidate, Josh Rosen would be a candidate, Darren Andrews and Jordan Lasley would be candidates, Scott Quisenberry would certainly be a candidate. Defensively, Kenny Young would be a candidate. Pick and Jaleel, Adarius Pickett and Jaleel would be candidates. You know, another guy I could have probably given a most improved to was Colin Samuel, who's really come on. Matt Dickerson would be a candidate, and then you know, it's just no one's going to listen to this, but Johnny Blecker today, he was probably the MVP of the game. I know when you're long snapper, but you see when you have a long snapper that can snap it the way he does and then get down and cover, that's kind of rare, and that'll save us some yards. So I know that's like you're gonna probably put that on like in the editorials or the one ads or whatever if you guys still have those. So anyway.
After 15 practices, are you pretty confident in the running game coming off of last season? Do you think it's made some progress and you like the offensive scheme that Jed has put in?
I do. I like the scheme because I think it utilizes the strengths of our players, and I think it maximizes our ability to have success. I think that, you know, we're a long ways from being where we want to be, but I love the way our players have embraced what we're trying to accomplish offensively and the system that we're installing, and it's really fun to see that. So, you know, I just want to save any, you know, big-time statements about improvement until we get on the field against Texas A&M, and after that game, maybe we can all feel good. Right now, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I am optimistic.
How do you feel about Soso, and how has he improved where he's come with this game?
Soso has improved. He's dropped some weight. He's about 215. I think being around Deshaun has really helped him. You know, he's learning how to lower his pads. He's a tall guy. He's always going to run a little bit, you know, more upright. So we have to constantly talk to him about lowering his pad level. But you know, he can be an effective guy. He's a deceptive runner in the open field. He can, you know, he's got speed, but it's kind of build-up speed. But I think, you know, when you look at the combination of Soso and Bolu and Brandon and Nate Starks and Jalen Starks, you know, that's five pretty darn good backs, you know, all capable of playing in the Pac-12 and being successful. So I think we've got a good group, and then Jalen plays, you know, some fullback as well. So.
What has spring done for your confidence in backup quarterback situation?
Well, I think today gave me more confidence, and once again, you know, it's hard to. I don't want to make a firm statement about it because the situation is, you know, semi-game-like but not game-like. But I was impressed with the way Devon came out and handled himself. You know, the poise that he showed, the command, the communication. You know, I'm standing back there so I can hear the way he's interacting with the players on the field. And I thought he did a really nice job of handling the offense and then being poised. And then, you know, you see what Matt Lynch is. Matt's a gritty fighter, you know, and he can run, and he will run, and he'll take hits. And, you know, he might be one of those guys, Matt Lynch, that, you know, run down on kickoffs. You know, if your backup kicker that runs down on kickoffs and does things like that, I think you got to try to find a way to get that guy on the field somewhere. I really like him.
You touched on guys having to come back Monday at 5 a.m. to do other workouts. Have you noticed a difference between their progression after the season heading into spring ball and then after spring ball heading into fall camp? Is there a disparity there on kind of development?
No, we entered into it, you know, our off season is broken into phases, you know, different phases, and so we're entering really on Monday just kind of the next phase. And so the focus always needs to remain on that phase, and your intensity level always has to be consistent. And our guys have really done a nice job of embracing that. And I mean, that's a credit to them, but it's also a credit to Coach Alosi and the, you know, the confidence and trust and respect that they have for him and his staff. Okay, thanks everybody.